In a world where I think everything's going to get increasingly tokenized, so you could have like an 8-year-old kid in Vietnam that could buy 1/1000th of a share of NVIDIA with one click. I mean, I think that world is upon us.
Rodger Desai is the founder and CEO at Prove Identity, and he sits down with us now for a one-on-one interview at Money 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's great to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with an introduction to Prove Identity for anyone a bit unfamiliar. What is the work all about, and what are your top priorities at this particular moment?
So Prove verifies who people are, but in a really unique way. In our view, as fraud continues to explode, it makes things more frictionful. So we try to make it so that things are easy and seamless, but yet secure behind the scenes.
What have been the biggest opportunities, but maybe some of the biggest headwinds as well, to operate in the space that you've been, given the shifting regulations and the underlying technologies that continue to change?
So one thing that because we didn't actually come from the fraud identity space, we had a novel way of thinking about things. Early on, we kind of fused identity and verification together, and authentication. And so we created something called an identity token that really allows things to be frictionless and yet more secure. So that's been the opportunity, kind of rethinking with first principles how to do this. The headwinds are this fraud continues to explode. There's so many ways, especially now with AI and more and more ways to fool people and pose as other people and steal money. And so that becomes a constant force you have to reckon with.
What is necessary for the so-called good guys using AI, agentic, anything in terms of those technologies to make sure you're always one step ahead of the bad threat actors who, as you know, also have access to a lot of the same tools and technology?
For sure. One thing we found that's very, for us, insightful is half the 12-year-olds in most countries have a phone, and nearly every 16-year-old has a phone. So there's rich kind of longitudinal behavior data just around your phone and phone number. And that's not something bad guys can go back in time and recreate. So I can't go back in time and create a phone call for you. And so that gives us a perspective on people before they even open their first bank account. So that kind of unique insight and unique data allows us to do things with extreme accuracy. That gets in front of all the bad things AI can do.
What does trust in autonomous commerce mean to you?
I think what it should mean is that whenever a consumer wants to do something, it just happens without friction and securely. I think what's really exciting about AI is the fact that the purchase intent has suddenly moved. Like my 17-year-old, increasingly uses AI to search for products versus Google. And I think that means increasingly he'll just tell it to do things, like go buy these concert tickets. And I think that when you get into a world like that, that just happened in milliseconds, but with the security you expect behind it.
Tell me about the partnership with Backbase. How does it strengthen your ecosystem, your overall customer experience, and ultimately, what are the top things that you feel like you could do now that maybe you couldn't before a partnership like that?
Well, it's today we partner with not just with banks, but fintech, crypto, gaming, and it's really just about doing more and more countries. For a long time, Prove was kind of only in the US. Now we've rolled out to most everywhere in the world. We can now verify 90% of digitally engaged consumers globally. So that's kind of these partnerships allow us to keep expanding globally.
What do you look for that is key to a really important partnership?
I think that mindset that it's all about, kind of creating a great experience for the good while creating a more difficult path for the questionable, and just really caring about it. The user experience is all that matters. I think we're all conditioned to have Amazon-like one-touch experiences, and I think brands that understand that, I think, are the ones who will get more market share. Every kind of 10 or 15 years, the Fortune 500, the Fortune 50 changes. When I was, a young adult, Polaroid and Kodak were massive companies, and now, so we think the next reshuffling of the Fortune 500 is going to be about how easy it is to do business with you in digital channels. We all talk about that with our friends, things that are easy to use versus things that are difficult to use. And I think that's kind of what's at stake. If you can figure that out, you'll get more market share, more share of wallet, and that's what Prove is about, trying to help those leading brands create amazing experiences with that security you expect behind the scenes.
Rodger, what is one reality of fraud detection in the general space that you operate in that you would want the average person, the average user or customer on the outside to know more about in terms of just establishing a more literate user base on a lot of these crucial issues that you specialize in?
I don't know if you can. I think it's just so difficult. There's this funny joke that most Americans will give you their full social for free shipping, and I know my son may, and so I think we just have to do it for them. I think we have to make things easy, but secure on their behalf. I think it's just too hard like other than scaring consumers not to do anything, I think it's our job as an industry to make this happen behind the scenes on their behalf.
Here at Money 2020, there's no shortage of exciting talk about emerging technologies underneath the surface that are rapidly changing what is the future of the workforce, e-commerce, you name it going on. From where you're positioned at Prove Identity, what do you feel are some of those big emerging trends that you think we should all be paying a bit more attention to in terms of digital identity for 2026?
So obviously agentic commerce and how you can make sure the right people are behind those agents. It's just going to explode. Like agents talking to agents, my agent talks to your agent, talks to another agent. But I also think another development is just stablecoins and the notion of tokenization. In a world where I think everything's going to get increasingly tokenized, so you could have like an 8-year-old kid in Vietnam that could buy 1/1000th of a share of NVIDIA with one click. I mean, I think that world is upon us. Stablecoins are the start of that. And I think that all requires a global identity infrastructure to make those transactions happen with the kind of convenience and security that Prove stands for.
Rodger Desai is the founder and CEO at Prove Identity, joining us for a great conversation here at Money 2020. It's been great to have you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.